Ms. Donna Grise.
And my name is George Depasquale. You know, we thought that our lives wouldn't be affected by AIDS until one of our dearest friends, John Ellison, passed away from AIDS last May.
Watching John's pain and suffering prompted us to think, what could we do?
So we'd like to take this time to dedicate this show to John Ellison and many others who have passed away from AIDS.
But more importantly, there are so many people living with AIDS, embracing life and living it to its fullest, like my friend Greg Betts. So to Greg Betts and everyone living with AIDS right now, we dedicate this also to you. In the production of this video, it was a great eye-opener to me to realize that of all people afflicted with AIDS, the national average was 11% of women had the disease. But what was more horrifying was, in Worcester County, the average was 44%. That's almost 4 times the national average. And being a heterosexual single parent, I realize what a great risk I am to get affected by the AIDS disease.
Our intent is to educate the community and to throw away some of the misconceptions that people have about AIDS, because it is a community problem and should be taken care of from community action.
Yes, you're right, George. So please open your minds and your hearts during this video. And remember, only as a community can we stop this epidemic. It is up to us to save our children.
We need to be friends for life.
For life.
With some unexpected friend, never asking where I've been. Just a hand of mercy and words of love call me back again. Oh, it feels like home with unexpected friends.
I have a disease called CFIDS. It's not fatal and it's not contagious, but it produces weakness, it produces susceptibility to infections. It's like the baby sister of AIDS. I felt very sorry for myself until I watched a television program 3 years ago about what AIDS does to people. And all of a sudden, the pity party I threw for myself was over. AIDS victims are people. They're not homosexuals. They're not drug abusers. They're not criminals. They're not prostitutes. They're people. They're people who are hurting. They're people who need help. And anyone who turns their back on them doesn't appreciate the humanity of a human soul. Please help. It takes so little. It takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of effort. But if you give the help that these people need, the little bit of life that they have left can be something that they enjoy. I'm going to spend the rest of my life running an AIDS hospice. I'm going to school to learn how to be an AIDS nurse. Because these are people who deserve it. Please help any way you can. Bake a cake, walk a mile, give a little bit of money, hold a hand. Don't be afraid to hug. It's not something that could be spread by a little bit of love. Help them.
I'm Jim Volz from AIDS Project Worcester, and I think I'll tell you a bit about AIDS. We first knew about AIDS in June 5th of 1981 in the United States Center for Disease Control. In its publication, the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report had a paragraph in there describing a cluster of unusual diseases from a doctor in Los Angeles. This physician had 5 otherwise healthy young men who'd come down with a rare type of cancer called Kaposi's sarcoma. It was an unusual incidence, and so the CDC published it in this weekly publication of theirs. It goes out to public health officials and epidemiologists around the country. Within weeks of its publication, thousands of doctors were calling in with similar cases. Within 1 year, 1,000 Americans were diagnosed with AIDS. Now, 1,000 Americans are diagnosed with AIDS every 6 days. In the United States, between 1 and 1.5 million Americans are already infected, and worldwide, between 8 and 20 million people are infected with the HIV virus, that is the virus that leads to AIDS. In the United States, using the CDC figures, which are a number of years old now, but using those figures, 1 in every 250 Americans is infected with the HIV virus. So 1 in every 250 Americans are already infected, And in Worcester County, that would be about 3,000 residents of Worcester County that have HIV infection, according to the CDC. We have here in the city of Worcester being treated at UMass slightly more than 600 people who have symptomatic HIV disease, meaning they're ill enough to be getting treatment at the University of Massachusetts, and over 150 being treated at Memorial Hospital. That is as of the fall of 1992. Our caseload here at AIDS Project Worcester grows by 5 clients a week. The numbers are growing rapidly. The disease is epidemic, and what we're doing about it is caring for those who are infected. But in terms of prevention, very little. I understand that part of the purpose of this videotape is to let people know that this epidemic affects not just people who you think it might, but anyone may be at risk for HIV infection. And that's true. People are at risk of HIV infection based on not who they are or what demographic group they come from, meaning they're not at risk of HIV infection because they're gay or because they're a minority or because they're an IV drug user, but they're at risk of infection because they shoot up drugs or because they engage in unprotected sexual activity. It's the behavior that leads to infection, not the demographic group. Here in Worcester County, we have, and I mentioned this statistic before, but we have 44% of our clients are women. The national average is 11%. That's 4 times the national average. Here in Worcester County, 4 times the national average of women are infected. That's a lot. And amongst our client load, only 14.4% report male-to-male sexual contact as their means of transmission. That means over 80% of our clients are infected, who are infected, are heterosexual. Anyone can be infected. It's true, in the United States, most of those people who are infected are gay men. Worldwide, that is not at all true. In Worcester County, that's not true. Anyone can get HIV infection.
Everybody can get AIDS. You don't have to be afraid of people who have AIDS.
You don't have to be infected to be affected by this.
You don't have to run away just because they have them. Even if you meet someone who has AIDS, you can still be friends with them.
Like the wind upon the water, we will sail in peace and harmony. Like the tide of a raging ocean, we must change the view of this disease. Like the heart of a dying spirit, we must fight to keep their dream. Let the tidal waves of ignorance pass us by. Let the prejudice wash away. All the children with AIDS, don't let them die. Please find a cure today.
Hey, Billy, where are you going? I'm going over to Jimmy's house. He's too sick to come out and play. Wanna come? No way. He has AIDS. We better stay away or we might catch it. No, sir. Remember in school they say you can't get AIDS from playing with someone? Besides, he's really sad and all alone. Why don't you come with me? It's okay. Well, okay. I miss Jimmy. Hey, Billy, do you think Jimmy's gonna die?
Like the sun that wakes each morning, we will rise to live one more day. Like the moon that lifts the darkness, we must force the hand of death away.
disease. It cannot be cured right now. They're trying to come up with a cure, though.
In reality, this is all of our disease, and we really all need to be involved in making a difference and trying to come together.
Tidal Waves was a song I wrote in 1988 after I found out that a friend was diagnosed HIV positive. In a way, it was really my own attempt to try to do something about the disease, which we knew very little about at that time, or at least I did. In writing Tidal Waves in 1988, I had no idea that it would become what it's become today, which is an AIDS educational music video. But at the time, the song was reaching out to those who were HIV positive and had AIDS in various ways, such as for retreats, for fundraisers, and just an awareness song about the ignorance and the prejudice surrounding the disease. And then, oddly enough, I had a performance down in Connecticut, in Hartford, and I met Nina, who I later found out was a photographer. And we teamed up together to create a slideshow that would go along with the song when I performed live.
The first time I heard Tidal Waves was in 1989, I think. And I remember the first time I heard the song, I cried through it. And at that time, I didn't know anybody who had AIDS. I was just becoming aware of what AIDS was from hearing about it on television. And I remember I bought a copy of the tape at that time, and we did talk. And like Wes said, when she came down to Connecticut for a performance, we ended up meeting for lunch and got to talking about my photography. And she had come up with the idea of putting a slideshow together to kind of enhance Tidal Waves in a visual format. And we sat down for a couple of hours and put some ideas together and went through some pictures that I had already scenic-wise and came up with a format of maybe what needed to be taken, and started 2 years ago to put a slideshow together.
I was so touched, and so Nina was as well, at the response that we were getting. The people were feeling a lot of support and encouragement by the fact that there was the slideshow and the song together. And I would receive mail, of people telling me what a difference it made in their lives and how they thought it was a wonderful presentation altogether. And then somebody, we actually, we brought the slideshow to the first Touch of Love, which is pediatric AIDS benefit down in Connecticut. And at that time, we did the slideshow and the song again, and somebody actually came with their video camera and tried to put the two together. And it was that evening that our good friend Paul said, "Why don't you two make this into a video?" And we were like, well, this is a great idea, but we don't have any money. How do we do this? How do we make this happen? So we went back home and we talked about it a little bit more, and we decided to approach the Touch of Love organization, which handles pediatric AIDS, D. Riker, and ask them if they would be willing to help us raise some funding to do that. And they unanimously said yes, and that they were behind us 100%. So they sponsored a fundraising dinner by which we raised enough money to hire a videographer. And then it was incredible. The number of people who came out of the woodwork to either give in-kind donations or just to give us whatever it is that we needed to pull it all together.
Like the rain to the burning forest, we will cry to save the green.
I think it's a tremendous success tonight. There's all kinds of people have turned out, donated prizes, donated flowers, their time. People have spent hours and hours. Bruce Sanger has spent months putting all this together. All the credit really goes to Bruce.
Well, last year we made $10,000 over a 3-day period. This year it's been a 4-day event. We started with a premiere of an AIDS educational music video at Foothills Theater. And that went pretty well. I was hoping to get a bigger crowd to open up to a bigger community of people to have them there. But, you know, we still have a long way to go in order to get people there to educate them on certain aspects of the disease. But hopefully within this 3-day period, we're trying to make at least a 10,000, if not a lot more. And there's a lot of scheduled events for this evening and the 3-day affair. So we'll see what happens, but there's all kinds of raffles. We've been very supportive through a lot of different people helping us out and giving donations and to make this all able or whatever. We've got a lot of entertainers that have donated their time, and with their help and support, we should do okay.
When you walked into my life, you came into my together, you and love. We have seen it all before, and we will see it all again through our children's eyes. But I know there will be something there for me, something there that lasts my whole life long. And there will be something right for me, something right that I can lean upon, something there that I can lean upon. And when you are in your final days, oh, memories won't fade, I'll keep them going strong. And your life, it is much more than it seems. It's about family, together, you and I. But I know there will be something there for me, something there that I can lean upon. And there will be something right for me, something there that I can lean upon, something right to last my whole life long. Well, there's something there to last my whole life long.
Volunteer their time, be a buddy, donate money. Call AIDS Project Worcester and say, what can I do to help?
I'm Jesse Brown Atkins, and I'm Office Manager for AIDS Project Worcester, and I've been an employee of AIDS Project Worcester for approximately 2 years now. I became involved with AIDS Project Worcester because of several friends who were infected, and also because of my own infection, which I found out about in July of 1990. And I knew that I had to do something to battle this epidemic personally, and for the friends that I've lost, and for those friends who are going through the same thing that I'm going through.
In the United States, we've made great progress on the treatment of AIDS-related diseases, or diseases that come about when people have HIV infection. And medical researchers and local doctors have made great progress in caring for people with HIV, improving the quality of their life. We still, however, do not have a vaccine, and we do not have a cure for AIDS. What we do have is we know how to prevent the spread of AIDS. There never needs to be another case of AIDS. We know exactly how AIDS is transmitted, and we know exactly how to stop it. And we as a community can stop AIDS if we choose to. And what that takes is, it takes our city governments and our town governments setting up commissions to look at AIDS and bringing together a strategic plan. How will our community fight AIDS? If we have the resolve to do it, if it's not just empty rhetoric, then we need to pull together communities and say, what do we do to stop this? And those things, if people were to ask me my opinion, since I have the floor, I'll tell you, would be to be a multi-pronged approach. One would be the best curriculum possible in each of our schools, not the least offensive, but the most effective curriculum that we would choose to educate our students as fully as possible about how AIDS is spread and how they can prevent it in their lives. And that means being clear about sexual transmission, and it means being clear about condoms, and it means being clear about drug cessation. So we need to have a very clear and very explicit K-12 curriculum that does the best job of educating our students. I think in this community, if we looked around the country, we could find a very good curriculum, and we would need to put the resources behind that to have the teachers to implement that. I know there are good intentions in our school departments to do that, and I think we should follow through with that. Another thing is treatment on demand. People who use intravenous drugs are addicted to those drugs. This is a disease. They will not get out of this addiction unless we have treatment on demand. When people are ready to go in for treatment, there need to be beds available. We need to support funding for treatment on demand. We need to educate people and take responsibility in our churches and in our towns, and I know many churches and towns are doing this, and we need to do it more and more. We need to have parents who are talking to their kids about AIDS. And if people want information, we'd be glad to supply them with that. So how do you talk to your kids about this? And we need people to take responsibility for their own lives. Often people are worried about transmission in the workplace, which is a very, very low risk compared to transmission after work. People are very concerned about transmission while they're at work, and what they don't think about is when they go home, or they go out, or they start drinking or using alcohol and they take somebody home. Most cases of transmission occur through sexual activity. Either we need to stop that sexual activity, or we need to make sure that people who are engaging in it safely. Those people who feel that they are not at risk are probably most at risk.
Hi, my name is Maria Martin. I'm a 38-year-old female who is living with AIDS. I was tested in 1987 because I was high risk. I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic also. Coming to AIDS Project Worcester has helped me tremendously. In the very beginning, like I said, I was so afraid, I was so fearful. I was afraid to tell people. I was afraid that I would be rejected. And coming here, people understand, they care. I feel more love here than I do out in the community a lot of times through friends that I've known all my life. They're here for me no matter what I need, whether it be support or whether I need help with housing, with food. From A to Z, the AIDS Project Worcester has always been here for me.
This is a quote from Carrie Hume, who wrote a book called The Bone People, and it reminds me of the work of volunteers, of people who've been coming forward to fight the epidemic. They were nothing more than people by themselves. Even pairing, they would have been nothing more than people by themselves. But all together, they have become the heart and muscles and mind of something perilous and new, something strange and growing and great. Together, all together, they are instruments of change. This is also another favorite quote of mine. It's from Robert Kennedy in a speech he gave in Johannesburg, South Africa in 1965. And it talks about people involved in issues they care about. It is from the numberless diverse acts of courage and belief that human history is shaped. Each time a man stands up for an ideal, or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes out against injustice, he sends a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples build a mighty current, which can sweep down even the mightiest walls of oppressions and resistance.
Okay.
Another one of and this is probably my very favorite quote. It reminds me of all those people that we've come to know and love and who we've lost to this epidemic. It's from Francois Mirac, who is a Catholic historian and writer. He said that we are molded and remolded by those who have loved us. And though that love may pass, we remain, nonetheless, their work. No love, no friendship can ever cross the path of our destiny without leaving some mark upon us forever.
It was the last walk in the rain, and keep you out for hours in the storm. I If I had only known I'd never hear your voice again. You were the treasure in my head. You were the one who always stood beside me. So unaware, how foolishly believed that you would always be there. But then there came a day and I turned my head and you slipped away. If I had only known it was my lesson at my side, I pray a miracle stop the dawn. And when you smile at me, I would look into your eyes and make sure you know my love for you goes on and on. If I had only known, if I had only known the love I would show, if I had only known.
It's part of you. They're part of you. Johnny, great kid. He helped build this place.
My name is Marie Bissonnette, and I'm a Sister of Mercy. I'm the director of Lifehouse. Lifehouse began in, actually began in 1985 with an idea. We were invited to go to belong to Packagug support group, which is a support group for AIDS, and I had no idea what that meant. But I went with a friend of mine, and he would drive me every Wednesday to the support group. And on the way home one day, we realized it was just not enough. There was not enough time to meet, not enough time to be with people. And the folks who were there, that were parents, there were friends of people who had AIDS. There were all kinds of people, and the big cry was they didn't have a space, a safe space. They didn't have enough time to be together, and that was kind of the beginning of Lifehouse. We said one day on the way home, why don't we start a house ourselves? Why don't we have a house of hospitality? And the way we first envisioned it was a combination between Ronald McDonald's house and an Abby's house. Abby's is a house here for women, a shelter for women. And it was a joke at first. But then we realized when people would say to us, I need a safe place, I need a place to be comfortable, I need a place to go, we began to realize that perhaps it was something that we really needed to work on. And so we did. We got a group of people together. There were 7 of us initially, the 7 founders, and we met regularly for several months. And then we finally, at my invitation, I finally said, look, we're either going to do this or not, and let's put our money where our mouths are. And we began. We started looking for a site. And one of the things that we felt very strongly about was we did not want a storefront. We didn't want a drop-in center, the connotation that a drop-in center has. We wanted something, and the word came out, the word was elegant. We wanted something very special because we feel people who are affected and living with AIDS are very special people. One of the greatest problems with people who are living with AIDS is isolation. They're alone, they have no place to go, they're afraid to talk, and that's what we were looking for, a safe place. So we found the most elegant place we could find was 50 Franklin Street, which was the old Bancroft building. And we went up there and we got 2 rooms and a storage room. And we made it that elegant place. We made it a living room and a game room and an office. And that's how we started. We started a year ago, October 28th. I am a Sister of Mercy. And I believe in the spiritual and the corporal works of mercy, which many of you understand. I visit the sick, I bury the dead, and I have never been more Sister of Mercy than I have been working with people who have AIDS. The people who come to us are living with AIDS. Not only there, and another one is to comfort the sorrowful. Families are very, very affected, and we do have many families who come, relatives of people who are living with AIDS or who have already passed on. And that's a major part of the work that we do there, is to be with people and just to comfort people. Many of our volunteers are people whose lives have been affected by AIDS, and that's part of what we do, is support people. We have many things at Lifehouse. First of all, people are not clients at Lifehouse. They're not patients. They're members. We have many members. We have over 100 members now. We started off with 4, not including the volunteers. We started off with 4 members, and now we have an average of 12 to 15 people a day who come to Lifehouse. And there's a place to relax, there's coffee, we have a lunch program that starts between 12:30 and 1, and the lunch program extends all day. We're open from 12 noon to 9 o'clock. We have a clothes swap, we have group meetings, we have support groups, all kinds of things. Whatever the need is, we deal with the need of the people. Whatever that need is, that's what we provide. People are living much, much longer with AIDS now, and there are many, many things we can do. But the most important thing is to just keep on loving them. You keep on doing exactly what you're doing. But there are other things that you can help them with. You can do things like go to the store for them or just visit them. But they're the same person. They're the same person they were before. They may have other needs that they didn't have before. They may need help with laundry or with going to the store or things like that. But the fact is they're the same exact person and they need the same thing. They don't need isolation. They need you to invite them to go to the movies or to do the kinds of things you did with them before. There's no real change. Well, I talked in terms of empowerment. I mean, I thought in terms of empowerment. You know, the old adage, if you give a man a fish, he can eat for one day. If you teach him to fish, he eats forever. Well, that's the kind of thing we're trying to do at Lifehouse, is where we don't do things for people. We help them to do things for themselves. We work with them to find and fulfill their needs. And we want them to realize that they are special people, that they can do things for themselves. They're not totally helpless. They're good people, they're valuable people, and God loves them, and so do we.
I'm a little girl, I am only 3. I play alone without a friend, 'cause I have AIDS, you see.
I lost my little boy, he was almost 4. I miss his laughter and his tears, if I could hold him just once more. Who will love these children whose dreams
When I grow up, I'll be like Daddy reads and see. I tell Mommy that having AIDS won't get the best of me.
I love my little girl, was proud as proud could be. I tried to give her everything, AIDS took that chance from me.
Who will love these children whose dreams will not come true? Who will hold their tiny precious hands? Who will tell these children that there's a God above? They are all helpless and hurting and need a touch of love. We all must love these children whose dreams will not come true. We must hold their tiny precious hands. We all must tell these children that there's a God above. They are all helpless and hurting and need our touch of love.
There was this little girl, Erica, who they were helping. And it turned out that this little girl, Erica, was 8 years old. And that was the age bracket of the children's chorus who sang on it and talked on it and were interviewed on the actual video. And what happened was we were going to an annual picnic for Touch of Love. And we never met Erica. And we heard a lot about her. We knew that she had AIDS, that she was 8 years old, that she didn't have much longer to live, that she was living with foster parents, and that Touch of Love took her under their wing and were trying to give her as much love and support as they could. And that picnic, we met her. She had never seen the video, and she saw the video for the very first time. And when she found out that I was the one singing, you know, she wanted me to sing to her. Now, there have been many tough things that I've done in my life, but it was never as tough as having to sing to somebody who I knew was dying of AIDS. And I got all choked up and barely made it through the song. I said, thank God this is over and I don't probably have to do it again. Well, I wasn't so lucky, because then she asked me to sing it again and again and again. And then just to give you a physical description of what this little girl looked like, she was 8 years old, but she looked like she had a 3 or 4 year old's body. She had lost most of her hair, and she had sores all over her. And she was carrying a Barbie doll purse with her morphine pack in it. And it was really hard to accept the fact that she carried herself on this planet with so much love and concern, and that she didn't care about anything that the rest of us care about, that she wasn't greedy, or she wasn't selfish, or she wasn't whatever. She was just a caring little body, you know, that she was there, and she gave so much joy to the people while she was here. And that gave me a lot of strength, and I know that it gave Nina a lot of strength too. But at the end of her watching it, she made me tell her who everybody was in the video. And she wanted the truth. You know, when she saw somebody who looked sick, she wanted to know. She wanted me to tell her, you know, what it was all about. And I have to say that probably after the 10th time of playing the video, you know, the adults in the room that came in and watched her and saw her were all in tears. Finally, Nina and I gave her her own video and her own single of the songs. And she was sitting near me, and she pointed to a chain around my neck, and there's a whole another story involved with that. But we had grown tired of, you know, presenting this video and wondering, well, where should we go next? Why did we do all of this? Will anything really come of it? Will it really make a difference? Well, that little girl, Erica, just basically broke our hearts and made us realize that if there was never anything else to be done with this video, then what it did for her was gave her, for that time on that planet, a little bit of peace and joy. And we found out later on that 5 days later, Erica died, and that she watched the video all week long, and that for her, she said she wasn't afraid to die because she knew that when she went to heaven, she would have hair. So in a way, you know, it was like we were getting tired, but it was God's way of saying, you're on the right track, you're doing the right thing, just stay in there.
Hello, my name is Jesse Brown-Atkins, and I'm the office manager here at AIDS Project Worcester. I've spoken to you once before during the 241 benefit in August, but since that time, I've suffered a series of tragedies in my life that I've been asked to talk about today. Firstly, one of our facilitators here at AIDS Project Worcester died unexpectedly while on vacation in Montreal. Roger was a very good friend of mine, and that was quite a loss for me. Shortly afterwards, a very good friend of mine who I called Uncle Art, who was on our board of directors, died for complications of AIDS. And Art and I had a very good relationship. He was a mentor. He was a source of strength for me. And he was the only person that allowed me to call him Uncle without really knowing him that well. After attending Art's memorial service about a week ago, when I returned to the office, there was a telephone message for me, and I found out that my buddy, Jimmy, had died that morning. So within one day of giving someone memories and saying goodbye, I had to start all over again with the grieving process, which is very difficult to do because during this time of the AIDS epidemic, we have a series of multiple loss that we have to deal with. And losing two very good friends at the same time took a lot out of me emotionally, physically, and mentally. It's hard enough losing one person that you really like in your life, but when you lose more than one right after the other in succession, you start to have a lot of questions that you're dealing with, spiritual questions, and questions about your own mortality. For me, I tried not to think about it, but I guess this sort of put it in focus on me. It was brought to the surface more or less, and I wasn't really quite ready to deal with it. So emotionally, I'm painting a happy smile on my face the way I used to, but underneath, there's a lot of turmoil going on. It's difficult to think about your own mortality because everyone thinks they're going to live to a ripe old age, and all of us would like to think so. But when you're infected with HIV and work around it constantly, you're constantly thinking about the end and when it's going to occur, what's going to happen next, what the next step is going to be to get to that point. For me, it's a matter of, it's very frightening because I've seen what this epidemic and what this disease does to people. It takes very beautiful people and makes them ugly. And when you pride yourself somewhat on your looks and having friends that care about the way you look, you start to wonder if these friends are true and if they're going to be there for you at the end. And that can be quite emotional for a person. And I guess you sort of have to weed out who your true friends are, who your acquaintances are, and who your, I guess, just run-around buddies are. I think I'm at that phase now where I can really point out my true friends and who my acquaintances are and who the other people are in my life.
I feel that that there's a lot of ignorance and a lot of misinformation going around with people with the virus. You know, I truly feel that at times I feel a little bit separated from the rest of society because people don't have the understanding that I wish they would have. Actually, I do everything that normal people do, and I would never know I was infected unless a doctor told me I was infected. People with the virus are just like, you know, any other normal people. You know, we have feelings, we feel the same way. It does have its difficulties. You know, like I feel that because people don't have the information, that they tend to shy away, that people are afraid to get close to me, because they don't have the education that is desperately needed.
Hello, my name is Maria Doyle, and I am a case manager at AIDS Project Worcester. I have been in the helping field for about 3 years, and I decided to work with the AIDS population. When I saw all the people around here that are so ignorant about the HIV virus, so I wanted to educate people because education is prevention.
I've tried to educate teenagers about the seriousness of AIDS. I've told them that AIDS can kill them and that they can get AIDS by having sex. I've told them that the best prevention against AIDS is not to have sex. But if they're going to have sex, they should be using a condom. That's what I've done. You as doctors can do so much more. Talk to your patients. Let them learn the right story from you, because the wrong story can kill them.
Hi, I'm George Depasquale. Thank you for watching this video. I'd like to take the time to thank all the people involved in making this video. Also, I'd like to thank AIDS Project Worcester, Lifehouse, and our family and friends. In producing this video, it took a lot of time and effort. It made me realize as a whole, we can face this dreadful disease and educate all of our communities. As a whole nation, maybe we can put it to an end.
Never was the world in such a need of peace, and never has contentment been so hard to find. So many men reaching out their hands, our brothers and sisters, in so many lands. If ever kindness was needed, then it's crying out to us. The time is now. I want the peace, I want the love for all the world. People of joy with children of hope for all the world. Father of light, I will be a light that you shine through. 'Cause you are the peace and you are the hope for all the What's it gonna take before we show some charity? Compassion and mercy the way it's meant to be. Now tell me who will take the time for the ones who truly need, and pray for a nation that's out on the street. What man is greater than his brother, when in Jesus' eyes we're all the same? And I want the peace, I want the love for all the world. People of joy with children